All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the We Book It podcast. I am your host, Virgil, holding it down here on Who's Next on NXT, your Tuesday night delight. Thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. We got to cover it all from NXT. We are setting up, headed towards the huge six-man ladder match to decide who is the new face of NXT. And by all indications, y'all, I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but Keanu Carver made one hell of an impressive showing tonight. We also going to see matches between Darkstate and OTM for the NXT Tag Team Championships. We also get Hendry versus Jackson Drake, Myles Bourne versus Dion Lennex, and Andre Chase going up against Keanu Carver. So first up, Ricky Saints was on commentary and welcomed us to the show before Hendry's music hit. We went to a shot backstage, and it appeared that Drake had taken out Hendry with a chair before they could even get the fight. So Ava was scrambling to figure out what to do. We ended up getting the NXT Tag Team title bout first with Bronco Nima and Lucian Price taking on Osiris Griffin and Saquon Sugars. Sugars tried to showboat a little, so Nima threw him across the ring. OTM took control at first, but Griffin tagged in and started brawling with Price. Darkstate tried to use some dirty tricks with Cutler James at ringside, but OTM never seemed to be much at a disadvantage because of their overall physical dominance. This match played out exactly how you would expect it to. OTM had the crowd on their side, and Darkstate tried to cheat here and there to get an advantage, even though it wasn't surprising. There was some decent action sprinkled in. Then out of nowhere, Vanity Project shows up and distracts Price, allowing Sugars to pin him while using the ropes for leverage. Hank and Tank also showed up, and a huge brawl ensued. Chase U and Sean Spears and Nico Vance leaving Darkstate down and out. The result, Darkstate defeated OTM in this match. Again, I didn't think that they would take the titles off Darkstate just yet. They're probably looking at doing that at a pay-per-view. So again, like I said, this is just one of those things where you wanted to check out and see what the talent could do. Altogether, very, very fast-paced, high-octane type of match that we had there. Next up, Jada Parker is back in action and returns to the ring. She's going up against Nikita Lyons. So Parker stepped back into the ring for the first time since October in a match against Lyons, who was fighting on behalf of Blake Monroe. It's been quite some time since Lyons felt like part of the NXT roster, but she has been making regular appearances on Evolve and Main Event. Lyons got the first takedown, but Parker came back right at her. It was very clear they were evenly matched in most ways, but Miss Parker was showing a lot more aggression because she was looking to reestablish herself after being out with an injury. Lyons had a pretty rough start when she first arrived in NXT, but if you could compare her performance in this match to where she was a year ago, it's clear she has made a lot of improvements. This match definitely could have been more polished, but it was honestly better than expected. Lyons did her job playing the antagonist who was going to lose to the returning babyface, and Parker scored the win as expected. So Lyons offered to take on Parker for Monroe during a backstage segment for some reason. Monroe asked how she could repay her, but Lyons seemed to be willing to do it just for the free. Lyons took a nice back bump when Parker hit a clothesline, but all in all, Parker looked really, really good in this match, and it was to set her up for her match against Blake Monroe coming up. Next up, we had Randy Orton Light, Myles Bourne going up against Dion Lennex. Another member of Darkstate was in action when Lennox and Bourne fought for a spot in the NXT ladder match. Before heading to the ring, Bourne had a run-in with Ethan Page and Ricky Saints backstage. Bourne and Lennox are both great athletes with bright futures in the business. Both men looked like they were taking this opportunity seriously as they locked up to begin the match. Lennox didn't have his Darkstate allies at ringside, so it was nice to see him get to show off how much he has learned in a standard singles match with no distractions. This was a fun bout that led to both guys shining at different times. Page was watching from ringside and looked impressed with Bourne's aggression. He tried to give one of his belts to Bourne so he could cheat, but the ref saw it and prevented it. Lennox scooped him up for a slam to get the pin and the win. Bourne ended up laying out Page after the match. It looks like he might go after the North American title since he no longer has a chance at that NXT championship. So Lennox will be representing Darkstate in the 6-man ladder match. So we'll see what happens there. Next up, we got Tavion Heights going up against Lexis King. Heights and King had a backstage confrontation that led to them having a match. King had a quick moment with Uriah Connors backstage before he went to the ring. Heights went right after King when the match started and had him reeling. King had to use a cheap trick to dump Heights out of the ring to gain the upper hand. Stax and Ariana Grace came out to watch the match, but they didn't actually get involved. King ended up winning a relatively short fight with his finisher. King posed with Stax and Grace, so it looks like they have an official alliance now. They would have been a solid match if they had more time, but it just felt rushed. We'll see what happens. Next up, we got Zarya versus Thea Hale. So Zarya and Hale had an argument in the locker room that led to them having a match. Dame was on commentary to watch the action. Zarya had a significant size and power advantage, but Hale made up for it with speed and chaotic energy. The reason for this match felt contrived, but it was nice to see a combination of opponents we haven't seen before. Hale played a good underdog to the powerhouse. They battled through a break and into the next segment, but the break happening so early in the match meant they took up significant portion of the action, which is never ideal. Tatum Paxley showed up and attacked Dame. Their fight distracted Zarya long enough for Hale to roll her up for the win. Fatal Influence showed up, but they backed off after Zarya took out Hale to end the segment. Noticeably not on NXT tonight was Sol Ruka, who we expect is actually probably headed on her way to Saudi Arabia to be in the women's Royal Rumble match. So Andre Chase versus Keanu Carver was our main event of the night. Carver made his NXT debut this week in a qualifying match for the NXT ladder match. Chase served as his first victim. Chase came out of the gate with a pair of kicks to the face, but Carver brushed them off and cornered himself for a shoulder thrust. This was a glorified squash match designed to make Carver look like a monster. Chase got in enough offense to keep this from being completely one-sided, but the outcome was a foregone conclusion. Carver is still green and needs some time to improve, but this wasn't the worst debut we have ever seen. Newcomer slammed Chase into the announce table before rolling him back into the ring for a power slam to get the win. The way Chase was dumped over the top rope did not look fun for him. Actually, it looked pretty painful. And this was your NXT for this evening. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Keanu Carver is a star in the making. Buy the shirts now. Like I said, buy into the stock now because that dude is money, and you definitely want to buy into him. But let me know you guys' thoughts on NXT this week. I'm excited for that ladder match next week. I think it's going to be amazing. Cannot wait to talk about that with all of you when we crown a new NXT champion. Until then, keep those bookie pistols sharp.